back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate all of your support. Hope you all having a fantastic holiday weekend. It just hit me that it's still Sunday, not yet Monday, but it's been a long one. I was supposed to be at a soccer tournament all weekend, but all we have gotten is nothing but rain. Lots and lots of kids and parents are not too happy because this is a huge, huge soccer weekend around here with lots and lots of different tournaments. But anyway, uncensored and unafraid. Do me a quick favor, like, comment, subscribe. You all know the drill by now. I want to talk a little bit about Stephanie White's basketball. Now, y'all know I'm not a huge, huge Stephanie White fan, although I still think she can do her Christy Sides arc, right? Christy Sides journey. And I will praise that, just like I did with Christy Sides when I was calling for her firing, shall we say, early in the season. And then post Olympic break, she was like, here, Caitlin, here are the keys. Go do your thing. Can't argue with that. How could I still call for her firing, right? Always ready to change my mind and change my opinion when circumstances change. Now, I want to take out all the stuff, though, okay? Forget about the Stephanie White hate Caitlin Clark. Is she trying to diminish her? And, all these other things that we talk about. And I want to just focus on a couple of the really important basketball things right now as to why I have a serious problem with her offense. Now, there are multiple reasons, right? It's ineffective, it's outdated, it doesn't work with a player like Caitlin Clark. The system and Caitlin Clark do not go together. And there are lots of examples of that. Again, the most obvious, and I'll go back to it because it's one a lot of people know of, was Magic Johnson, right? And he ended up going head to head with his coach. Coach gets fired. Pat Riley comes in. Magic Johnson becomes the leader of the Showtime Lakers, who end up winning 5 NBA championships. Right? That is kind of what we need with Caitlin Clark. That is the type of generational player that she is. You need to put her in the system that maximizes the skill set, the basketball IQ, and all of these things that she brings to the table. And you do not have that with Stephanie White's system, period. And that is nothing to do with any of the other stuff. That just is the way it is. Stephanie White could be a great coach, but a great coach who insists on using a system that does not get the best out of the roster that they have isn't right for that roster. Okay, let's make it just plain as day right there. Regardless of what Slurp FC talks about and all of that, that is the ultimate bottom line problem right here. So what do I want to talk about? Well, you've got Caitlin Clark, and as we know, all the things I just alluded to, she needs the ball in her hands, right? All the time. And of course, when I say all the time, because again, we'll get the Slows and the Hatelins and Slurp FC be like, oh my God, you never even want her to pass the ball. You want her to bring it up. No. When you say she should have the ball in her hands all the time, you're saying Caitlin Clark should be running the offense. The offense should run through Caitlin Clark. They should run the ball a lot. When they get a rebound, the first thing they do is look for Caitlin Clark. When they inbounds after a make, the first thing they should do is look for Caitlin Clark. When Caitlin Clark comes across, and sometimes Caitlin Clark gets it, or maybe she's covered and it goes to someone else. Or, Caitlin Clark's getting a lot of pressure, so she gives it to someone else who gets it across half court. And then you look to get to Caitlin Clark to run the half court offense for multiple reasons. One, her passing skill, obviously her scoring ability and ability to get to the hoop. Yes, get to the hoop. And also how she stretches a defense because of her ability to shoot from the next town over, which creates a whole lot of space. You're not packing in the lane if Caitlin Clark has the basketball in her hands. Because if you do, one, she'll shoot, but she'll also find a way to get to a teammate. And you have deadly corner 3-point shooters like Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, all can bury an open three from the corner almost with their eyes closed. Okay. So there's so many other things. But I wanted to get into the biggest that we can talk about since last year. And also this year with the issues we see from game one with why is she going back to the tunnel multiple times for adjustments, right? She just missed a game because of back soreness. So when you have a player like Caitlin Clark, especially if they're your point guard, right? And I could talk about the Sixers with Allen Iverson and Allen Iverson's size and the type of player he was. Okay. A huge, huge problem with Stephanie White. And it's kind of multiple, but I call it one because it's, two sides of the same coin. We want to eliminate wear and tear on Caitlin Clark, right? We want to minimize the chance for injury. And Stephanie White talks about having her off the ball in order to do that. But the problem is the system that Stephanie White runs, putting Caitlin off the ball the way she does, actually creates more wear and tear. Okay. How is that? Because you have stuff like this right here. Right now, this is where Caitlin Clark picked up the flagrant foul, which is absurd, right? It's absurd. And also, by the way, if you notice, you'll see that Caitlin Clark is getting fouled, right? You watch the arm wrapped around, right? There's Caitlin Clark's fouled before that. But here is the huge issue that I have with that. I don't want my star player, who is my point guard, who has injuries, especially when you're talking about the lower back. For anybody who's at all familiar with lower back injuries, I do not want my star player doing this multiple times a game, setting screens like this multiple times a game. And a lot of people will say, oh, no, it's setting a pick is not a problem. It's, running into it. Not necessarily. Again, if you see that pick being set, you're running into that player with a little extra and getting away with it because you're not doing anything dirty. You're just playing defense and you're trying to get past that pick. It's a collision either way. Sometimes the one setting the pick is on the receiving end of a lot more than the one running into the pick. Not always, but sometimes. So I don't want a system that has Caitlin Clark setting picks off the ball. Just like for the Sixers, we are not running a system where Allen Iverson is setting a lot of picks off the ball. It makes no sense. Add in the wear and tear and the injury issues that we've had with Caitlin Clark this year. And again, specifically the lower back. You don't do this as a coach. If you are a competent coach, you do not run a system that has Caitlin Clark setting picks, period. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't mean she can't help out in that way. For any of you familiar with football in the NFL, right? You talk about what the NFL, the offenses love to try to design plays where wide receivers set picks without setting picks because it's illegal in the NFL for receivers to do that. So they call them sometimes rub picks and the way players run together. They're there to just get in the way. They can't actually make contact with that other receiver's defender or boom, it is a flag. Caitlin Clark can do the same type of thing when she does go off the ball a little bit, right? She can run in the area of, say, Kelsey Mitchell coming off a curl route from the outside, and Caitlin Clark can just, as she's going by, kind of get in that defender's way that slows the defender down, but you're not having Caitlin Clark actually set a pick and take the type of physical abuse that we are seeing in plays like this. And the flip side of that, what I say, is also what we unfortunately aren't getting enough of. And I think this, and I showed this before, this isn't specific, but you can see the physicality. And again, and this was not called a foul, is where Caitlin Clark, when she does have the ball, is getting a lot of this physicality still. And Stephanie White's system doesn't do anything to relieve it because we don't ever see any solid picks that free Caitlin Clark and give her some open space. Right? We see picks here and there, but they do not do enough to get Caitlin Clark open into space and take away a little of that wear and tear when she does have the ball. So, right, that's what I mean about the two sides of the same coin is there's way too much of this going on with Caitlin Clark where we're not freeing her up and giving her space in the offensive side with the Stephanie White system. And we're putting her at risk. Well, I guess it's both the offensive side, just with the ball and without. And we're putting her at risk every single time we ask her to set a screen. Y'all, for those who don't know, I keep that the back is weird. And sometimes it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. It can take a wrong step. I don't have any of you walk down steps and think there's another step and there isn't, and you just sort of step funny and jar it, and sometimes there's just a little twinge in your back and it goes away quickly, and sometimes 3 days later it's still bothering you. Exactly, right? You just do not know. So this is like maybe the biggest issue I have with this system, setting aside everything else in the personal aspect with Stephanie White. I don't want Caitlin Clark setting picks. That is a problem for the system. There's too much risk. You're putting your star player at risk too often by doing this. This has to be fixed. And by the way, I want to finish up with this. Speaking of the wear and tear, because we talk about, oh, she's on the ball a lot of wear and tear. Yeah, but if you're running the Caitlin Clark read and react, and which also means you're running in transition a lot, and as crazy as it sounds, I think they could run even more. I've said this a million times that they should run literally every chance they get. It doesn't mean they run all the way to where there's a shot immediately. They can get into the offensive end and pull back because they don't have a great look, but it should be a transition every single time. High pace, high pace. And when she's doing that, guess what? There is no physicality because she's just running by everybody in open space. That minimizes wear and tear as well. Anyway, just always shoot some basketball stuff today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate it. I will talk to you.